So, I want to talk about Tron. A new movie is out, Tron Ares. Kind of a sequel, kind of a soft reboot, and no one is watching it.
Don't tell me you went to the cinema to see this.
I fucking went to the cinema to see it.
Oh, man.
It was
man.
me and 4 other people.
Oh my god, so you gave him 4 times the ticket value. God damn it, Tommy.
Yeah, I will never learn. But yeah, this kind of results at the box office are part for the course for this franchise that never really managed to break into the mainstream.
Was that the total gross? Your 4 tickets?
I assume so, because I am not hearing anyone talking about this movie. But well, I watched it and I have thoughts and I want to talk about it. But first, Tyler, what do you know about Tron?
Absolutely nothing.
Nice.
Yeah, I've never seen there's an older film with Jeff Bridges in it, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like just after like early 2000s kind of time. Or is it even earlier than that?
It's 1982 actually.
Oh, is it? Oh my god! And then
Yeah.
is there not one before that too as well?
So the first Tron movie came out in 1982.
Right.
And then Tron Legacy is the sequel, the Legacy sequel, one of the very first Legacy sequels that were ever made.
Right.
But yeah, like the history of this franchise, or I should say attempt at a franchise, is just so fascinating to me. And I want to tell you a little bit about it, because I think, despite of what everyone is saying about this new movie, and Jared Leto, unfortunately, is in this movie, it's an interesting franchise. Especially the first movie came out in a period of time where Disney was not at its peak, creatively speaking, which is kind of like today. They were pumping out these family movies that came and went, but nothing truly special. So Tron was that attempt at something new, something with potential. It had this novel concept, especially for the time. You have a video game developer, Jeff Bridges, as you mentioned, is sucked into a computer and enters the digital world, befriends good programs, and he fights bad programs. And, it's a really interesting concept, especially if you think of when this was made. Because if you think about it, this is kind of like the Matrix. Like it's a digital world where people can go and kind of live a different life. The difference is that the Matrix is drenched in like late 90s edge and nihilism. So it becomes this story of a dead Earth overrun by machines that feed on humans and have created a simulation for them to live in. While Tron came out before the internet was even a real widespread thing. There was this optimism, this hope, this idea of a digital frontier, which is literally something that they say in the movie, to explore and make into a beautiful paradise. Programs are people. People actually create programs that on the grid have the appearance of their creators. So Jeff Bridges have his own program on the grid, which is the World of Tron, that has its own face. It's a different take on a pretty similar concept. So that's kind of fun in retrospect, thinking about how positive and optimistic people were about technology. And now we're like, oh my God, AI is gonna take over everything. We're gonna die.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that first movie was not very successful, but it was a technical marvel. At the time, it was the movie with the most CGI ever made.
Right.
And looking at it today, it hasn't aged very gracefully, but it's a very interesting time capsule. They use these incredibly complex techniques to shoot the actors in these suits that had glowing bits on them, and they use this process known as backlit animation. Like basically live action scenes were filmed in a completely black set, in black and white, and then they combine mattis and rotoscoping and CGI to give these characters this technological appearance. But due to its unique difficulty and cost, this process has never been repeated for another feature film. So this is like the only film that uses this technology. Too bad the film is boring. But it's interesting anyway. The movie didn't flop per se. It did okay, but definitely didn't really leave enough of a mark to warrant a sequel or a franchise. But one kid, one wide-eyed boy, watched this film and was forever changed. And that boy, Tyler, was Jared Leto.
I thought you were talking about yourself.
No, I've never seen this as a kid. I think I watched it after Tron Legacy, actually, just to know what the origin of the movie was.
Yeah.
So this movie comes out, Jared Leto loves it. We'll get back to him later, put a pin in that. 30 years go by, nothing really happens with the franchise, except for one thing. And this is my introduction to Tron. And I don't know if that's strange, because I think a lot of people, a lot of millennials are in my same boat, in the sense that my very first exposure, and for a long time the only exposure I've ever had to Tron, was through the video game Kingdom Hearts 2. Do you know Kingdom Hearts?
I do, yeah. It's like loads of different properties, isn't it? melded into a game, right?
Yeah, it's like this incredible experiment, Kingdom Hearts. It's like a joint venture from Disney and game developer Square Enix. In the early 2000s, they decided to join forces and create an RPG where you travel through Disney worlds and go on adventures with Disney characters.
Yeah.
It's like a big crossover game, one of a kind, revolutionary for its time, really. Now we get crossovers every other day, but at the time, the idea of having video games characters, Japanese, mind you, video game characters, interacting with Donald and Goofy and Mickey fucking Mouse, that was insane. Maybe it's still insane, and that's why I love it. But
Yeah.
at the time, I was a wee lad, as you say, and I was obsessed. And I think KH1 was like my first PS2 game, so it holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
in Kingdom Hearts 2, there's a bit where you and your companions are digitized and end up in a computer. And that's the Tron word in the game. And it was one of my favorite words, even though I didn't know the actual IP. Maybe that was why I liked it so much. It felt so mysterious and cool and different. And it's interesting to think what the thought process might have been to include that word, that movie specifically, in the game. Because the other words in Kingdom Hearts 2 were all bona fide classics. You've got Aladdin, The Lion King, Mulan. The weirdest one was probably Pirates of the Caribbean. But Tron? Why Tron? This half-forgotten sci-fi movie that nobody really knew, especially your core demographic of kids playing video games in 2005.
Yeah. I guess maybe just because it's visually quite unique, especially at the time. Even if people haven't seen the movies Tron, like I could tell you
Yeah.
like what the characters look like or like what the world looks like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. And I think they were kind of playing the long game with this one. They were like, let's put Tron in here because it's fun. It lends itself to a video game level. Tron is literally a video game in the movie. There's bike chase sequences. There's a big scary face you can fire at one point. We're thinking of maybe making a sequel. This is an intellectual property we haven't really done anything with for 20 years. So maybe it makes sense to put it in the minds of children that Tron as a franchise exists. And it worked. Slightly, because I know I went to see Tron Legacy in 2010 because I knew about Tron thanks to Kingdom Hearts. And I watched the original movie thanks to Kingdom Hearts. So, like, an entire generation of gamers was made aware of Tron's existence thanks to a video game with Donald and Goofy fighting demons. So, I think, that was made on purpose because they were like, okay, we might make a sequel in the future. We might as well make people aware of Tron, remind people of Tron. This didn't really help that much because Tron Legacy came out and it kind of flopped. And it was meant to be this big hit for Disney. They wanted to be their own Star Wars. And in 2010, I need to remind you, they hadn't bought Star Wars yet. So like they were trying all these different things. If you remember, there were a bunch of attempts at sci-fi franchises from Disney at the time. You have John Carter of Mars, you have The Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
All these failures. So much so that Disney was like Thanos in the Avengers post-credit when it's like, fine, I'll do it myself. And they literally bought everything. They bought Lucasfilm. They were like, okay, if I can't have it, I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
Quick thoughts on Tron Legacy. I guess it's fun, question mark. You've never seen this movie, right?
No.
Okay, but there's like a iconic Daft Punk soundtrack and
Yeah, I know the soundtrack is supposedly the best thing about the film. Yeah.
it's the best thing about the film. It's the best thing about the franchise, I guess. But I used to really love this movie when it came out. I rewatched it recently in preparation for the new one. And like the first one, it's kind of boring. Like there's a lot of exposition done very poorly, in my opinion, that kind of like bogs down a story that in actuality is quite simple and effective. There's this father-son relationship. You have Jeff Bridges coming back, but he got trapped in the digital world and the son needs to go find him. The villain was kind of cool. And then you have Cora, who's Olivia Wilde's character. And, teenager me was really fond of Cora.
I find that usually when you have these like nostalgic films that you love, you go back that are trash and you go back and watch them and it tends to have some like unbelievably attractive actress
that's
in
why.
it. You're like, oh, that may be the reason.
Yeah, it's kind of meh for anything, but like the visuals are really cool and they really hold up today too. It's a really cool reinvention of the Tron world that they do in this. And as we mentioned, the Daft Punk soundtrack absolutely elevates everything you see on screen. And it's a Joseph Kosinski movie. It's the guy who did Top Gun Maverick. So the action is very clear. It's very well done. It has qualities. this movie. But like, I feel like the world of Tron, the grid, it just doesn't make enough sense, especially in today's world. And now we see the internet and the digital world today. It's a bit confusing how it works. It's not as an easy concept to sell, I think. And that's why it never really became a phenomenon. Programs are people and they live in this little town that it's made of what, like, and they eat and they go to work. Like, how does that make sense? I don't know. It never really clicked with me why this would work the way it does. And you have never seen this, so you're confirming my theory that no one really cares about Tron.
Yeah.
So even though plans for a sequel were always in place, the movie ended up on a very open-ended note. They even tease a potential villain for the future movies. Cillian Murphy is in the film for like 5 seconds, and he was supposed to have a larger role in a potential sequel that never happened. Do you want to know why this never happened, Tyler? Do you want to take a guess at what happened that discouraged Disney from pursuing a Tron sequel?
Besides the fact that nobody cares.
First, yeah, I mean, we've established that.
No, not really.
What might be the other big reason?
No, go on. What would it be?
They bought Lucasfilm, so they had their Star Wars to play with.
Right,
They
yeah,
had the
yeah.
new hot toy to play with and ruin for everybody else. So Tron was forgotten about for 15 years while they were attempting to do the Star Wars thing. And now that they failed, they're like, okay, let's go back to Tron. And now we finally get to Tron Ares, a movie that's not really a sequel, but kinda is. A movie that had a ticking time bomb in the form of a huge controversy surrounding star Jared Leto, who's been accused of pretty heinous stuff by many different women. And can I just say, I have never liked him, like never. Last good role for him was Paul Allen in American Psycho, who he kinda references in this movie at one point for some fucking reason. Or maybe the guy who was beaten to a pulp by Edward Norton in Fight Club.
Yeah, that's the best role right there.
Both roles where he either dies horribly or is punched in the face.
Yeah, God. Yeah, he's very overrated. The last film I saw him in was this like crime thriller with Denzel Washington and Rami Malek in it. It's called The Little Things came out in 2021, and like he's basically playing the Joker again in this.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
I'm such a quirky, weird serial killer type guy, and he just overacts so much, and yeah,
He
he was
is
so bad in this
terrible.
role. It was like, oh well, he's gonna be the murderer.
Yeah, in real life, you mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he has some dead bodies in his closet. No, I don't know, man. I never liked him.
Requiem for a Dream is a great film. I don't know how good he is in it. I think it's just a great film.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed. Yeah, it's just a weird guy, and I can't see him as a leading, like the kind of character that he plays in this. Like, we'll get into it briefly, but what I'm trying to say is I'm not just jumping on the hate bandwagon here. I've always found him kind of monotone, kind of cringy, kind of bad in most of the stuff I've seen him in. And he's all that. He is cringy and monotone and bad in this movie, which, by the way, this movie is a Jared Leto vehicle. And I'm not just talking about the light cycle. I'm saying without him, this movie wouldn't exist.
Yeah, I know he was there. He was a producer of it, right, too?
Yes, he fought for it for years and has always wanted the starring role in the movie. So he basically had the role of Ares written and rewritten for himself. And for this reason, Ares in the movie is described as the ultimate warrior, made of trillions of lines of code, incredibly complex and insanely smart. And I'm sure in the script at some point there was a line in there that said, and he's so hot too, and his digital dick is gigantic, but they managed to get it removed in time because it's insane how hard they suck his dick in this movie. Everyone is complimenting him all the time. It's almost upsetting to watch. But yeah, so the movie itself is kind of okay. Like, after all the bad press, I was expecting way worse. Like, he is bad and he's a bad protagonist, but we have a co-protagonist, which is Greta Lee's character, who's slightly better than him. And oh my god, the story, you're gonna love this, Tyler. Knowing your taste, you cannot wait to not watch this movie for the rest of your life.
Oh man, I'm already excited not to watch it right now.
Basically, Greta Lee's character, she's the new CEO of Encom. Encom is the big company that Jeff Bridges' character founded founded in the first movie. And there's this other company, Dillinger Systems. It branched out from Encom. So Dillinger is the bad company who wants to use the grid to 3D print weapons and armies. And that's where Ares, Jared Leto's characters, come from. And Encom is the good company that wants to use the same technology to 3D print fucking orange trees. That's literally the plot. Like, they are the good guys who want to 3D print trees and save the world, and the others like, no, let's make weapons and kill everyone. And I have to say, it's decently entertaining for what it is. It takes a while to get going, but the second half is definitely better than the first. It's more of a sequel to the first Tron movie than to the second in a way. They do reference Legacy a couple of times, but not much. And at some point, I guess, light spoilers for a movie nobody cares about, at some point, Jared ends up in the original Tron world from the first movie. And that was my favorite part of the film, because Legacy very much reinvented the look of Tron. And, you know, it's a cool look, but like the original had that charm. And I'm pretty sure this sequence only exists so that Jared Leto could see himself inside the original Tron. It feels like he's just playing with toys.
That does not surprise me whatsoever.
It felt like, you know, when Michael Jackson was like, he reached this level of fame where he was like, oh, I can't even experience going to a mall or like a supermarket without being bombarded by fans and like everyone will recognize me. So he hired an entire mall for himself just to fake having doing groceries in it. Like, it felt like that. Like they created this multi-million-dollar toy for Jared Leto to play with. But this was kind of fun, you know, like seeing that old school look and like the 80s music. It's kind of fun. And he hangs out with Jeff Bridges, who has 5 minutes of cameo in the movie, where he's basically like, oh my God, Jared Leto, you are so smart and amazing. Please go save the world with your awesomeness. And then he leaves.
Did he maybe have a part to play in the script as well, by any chance?
It feels like he wrote it for himself. Like, actually, if you know about Jared Leto's involvement in getting the movie made, it feels almost too much. Like, oh my God, like, he's the hero, he's amazing, he's perfect.
The man who has his own like yearly cult getaway where fans come and clamor over him like he's the next coming of Jesus Christ.
It looks like Jesus.
You expect humbleness from this man?
I don't expect anything from Jared Leto. I'm just saying what I witnessed was very upsetting. Anyway, the movie is very formulaic, very derivative, but, you know, it's pretty to look at. The 9 Inch Nails soundtrack will be my workout music for the next 2 to 3 months. It's absolutely brilliant. I can't say whether it surpasses Daft Punk's score, and it probably doesn't, because that's like one of the best movie soundtracks ever created, in my humble opinion. But it does the same job here in the sense that it elevates what would otherwise be a very forgettable movie. There were scenes where I was literally thinking to myself, if not for the music, I would be falling asleep right now. So yeah, it's a 6, probably maybe like a 5.5, and it could have been better. These movies could always be better, for some reason they aren't. And it could have been better if not for Jared Leto's boring ass character. They are clearly setting up a sequel or a cinematic universe at the end of the movie, a universe we'll never see realized, I assume, because this movie is bombing so hard. I've read this, it's doing worse than Morbius, if that's even possible. But we know how it goes with Tron. This movie will gather a cult following during the next 10 to 20 years. Disney will try it again. They'll make another soft reboot where Jared Leto's character died off screen. There will be an AI recreation of Jeff Bridges, who will be long dead by then. And maybe they'll bring back Olivia Wilde and Gareth Hedlund, who will be in their 50s or 60s by then.
And you'll still be paying full admission for it.
I can't fucking wait, man.
Did anyone see the movie Tron?
No.
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 No. No.
No.
No.
No.
No.
No. No.
Yes. I mean, no. No.